I ain't gotta prove nothing to nobody else. That's why I don't never get too hyped about the win after I win, because it's like you always gotta do something over and over again till you done. And it's always gonna be somebody next, somebody next, somebody next. So I feel as though I don't have to prove myself to these people.
Let's go! Come on! Come on, man!
You know what I'm saying? So we are striving to be the best that we can be to be on that level again, you know? So, you know, you saying you want to do what you want to do, that's good. That's what you want to do.
That's the God in you that's trying to
that's good.
seek it,
and,
you know?
And you giving back and giving thanks.
Gervonta Davis is sharpening every weapon in his arsenal for his fight with Jake Paul, showing that his knockout power comes from relentless training, not just natural talent. His camp focuses on strength, timing, and endurance to ensure he remains dangerous every second of the fight. On the other side, Jake Paul is treating this matchup as the toughest challenge of his career. He has brought in elite sparring partners, including Shakur Stevenson, Raymond Ford, and Montana Love, to help him enhance his speed, reflexes, and confidence before stepping into the ring with Tank.
So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bet. Everything on the line. You know, that's old school right there. That's it.
Gervonta Davis is putting a strong focus on conditioning, strengthening his core, and preparing his body to withstand the impact of heavy punches. Having felt the power of brutal shots in the ring before, he understands how crucial toughness and stability are during a fight. His training features intense drills designed to test balance, posture, and resilience, while increasing the explosiveness behind his punches. Every session in camp runs at full intensity as he builds his strength, stamina, and mental focus for the challenge ahead against Jake Paul.
Ain't nobody breaking.
Box, exhale.
Ain't nobody breaking.
Box. Man, boom on that last break. Box. I got him.
We chase you.
Box.
Yeah, I felt it.
Good, perfect. That was your best rap. Come on.
Jake Paul is also deep in training camp, treating this fight as the biggest challenge of his career. To prepare for Gervonta Davis, he has surrounded himself with high-level talent to push him beyond his limits. Shakur Stevenson has joined him for sparring sessions, giving Paul valuable experience against one of the most technically skilled fighters in the sport. He's also working with Raymond Ford and Montana Love to improve his speed, timing, and defensive reactions. Jake knows Tank is faster, smarter, and far more dangerous than anyone he's faced before. Every day in camp is dedicated to sharpening his boxing skills and building the confidence he'll need on fight night. Gervonta Davis has built his name in boxing through years of hard work and dedication. His journey speaks for itself. Trainer Calvin Ford has watched him grow from a young fighter with big dreams into a champion who thrives under the bright lights. Ford says that the success fans see on fight night doesn't happen by accident. It comes from long hours in the gym, strict discipline, and constant sacrifice. Davis has earned everything through persistence and focus. From the start of his career until now, he has never stopped improving. As Davis prepares for the Jake Paul fight, many voices across the boxing world have shared their opinions.
Man, it's just so much stuff. And me and Kenny was sitting there talking about, and the majority of it is when he was little. We talk about all the stuff when he was little, and he started laughing like, dang.
When I get by myself, I always try to like think about like back in the day stuff.
Yeah. But we can
I
tell.
just noticed that just now, me talking about it. But
Yeah.
when I get by myself, I'll be trying.
No, we can tell.
Yeah, you
when
remember.
I listen to your interview, I like listening to your interviews that you do, and I can tell when you reflect back on certain things.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see it. That's when I think you at your peace, and you start reflecting back and you talking about.
When he
certain
say something that we told him a long time ago,
and
like,
I
we
said,
thought he
damn,
forgot it.
we like, damn, he did remember that.
Yeah, he remember that shit.
Yeah. I see Brody been calling you a little bit. I mean, you know, as far as on the what you call it, trying to fight.
Veteran trainer Abel Sanchez sees this matchup as a major opportunity for Gervonta Davis. According to him, many fighters dedicate their entire lives to boxing, giving their bodies, their youth, and their time, yet still struggle financially. Sanchez says this fight is different because it rewards Davis for everything he has given to the sport. The financial benefits are enormous, and very few boxers get that kind of chance while still in their prime. He believes Davis deserves a moment where boxing finally pays him back. A fight with Jake Paul might not be for a ranking or a title, but it offers a reward that can secure his future. Sanchez believes Davis should take full advantage of that opportunity.
Fight fan, I don't like the fight, but as a coach, I think it's a good move for Tank Davis. I mean, I think I've seen too many kids go out of this sport with not a cent in their pocket, and I think that if Tank Davis takes advantage of a big payday like that, I think it's a ridiculous fight as far as a fight fan, but as a coach, I understand it. You have to take care of your own.
Yeah, you know, well, actually, now that we're talking about it, you're not the biggest fan of it. Fight fans are bringing up like, hey, you know, why did he go this way when there's Lamont Roach? Like, look how close that fight was. There was a draw. We were expecting a rematch in that fight.
Yeah, well,
what's happening here?
As much as we hate it, it hasn't become really a sport. It's become a financial sport. So he took it because it's 5-6 times more than he's going to make with Lamont Roach. That makes sense. I mean, anybody, ask anybody if they have a choice, they're going to take the money. Of course. He's got to take care of his people. He's got to take care of himself. He's got to take care of his future. That's the smartest thing to do. As a fight fan, I don't like it. But as a coach, I understand it.
Yeah, no, and I think anybody in that position, like, we got to, like, put ourselves maybe sometimes in that same situation. And I think anybody with, like, any, like, sense of, like, common sense would look at that and be like, wait, I'm making this much to fight against this guy that's only been fighting for 5 years compared to what could be maybe a really hard fight, and I'm going to make double, triple. Yeah, I'm going to go, let me do this little side quest real quick, and let me get this money real fast, and then.
Of course, you have to take care of your future, man. If it's offered to you, you'd be foolish not to take it, especially against a guy that is no threat to him.
Oh, well, I don't know. This 50 pounds, Abel.
Yeah, but he's no threat to him. Tank Davis fights the way he fights. Understand that Tank Davis fights, he's probably one of my favorite fighters. I think I've said that many a times. Mm-hmm. He fights in a manner where he's fought all those big guys. Look at the way he throws his punches. Look at how he ducks down like if he's fighting a real big guy. Look at the way he fought when he knocked out Garcia. Look at where he puts his head and how he throws his punches. In the street, that's who he was fighting. He was fighting bigger guys than him. He was always a smaller guy. So he knows how to fight those big guys. He knows how to duck up underneath and throw those looping shots because that's who he fought in the street. At least that's my opinion anyway. He's always been the little guy, and I'm sure that in the streets he wasn't acquired.
Chris Algieri also recognizes the value Gervonta Davis brings to the sport. He points out that modern boxing isn't just about skill anymore. It's also about attention, star power, and the ability to fill arenas. Every time Davis steps into the ring, the energy rises. Fans tune in because they know anything can happen when Tank fights. He's one of the best finishers in boxing, with knockout power that keeps audiences on their feet. Algieri says Davis has become a symbol of boxing's new era, where entertainment and greatness blend together. When Davis fights, it feels like an event, not just a match. He believes Davis understands how to stay relevant in a time when capturing attention matters just as much as winning rounds.
Soon. And the face of boxing is basically, yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
Again, these are created products.
Fight.
These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and then making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude, is unfortunate.
Okay,
it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, great fighter, and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set and all over your phone and all over. You know what, bro?
There's also ongoing discussion about Jake Paul. and whether the fights he takes are fair or staged. Carl Froch and Paulie Malignaggi both shared their views, agreeing that the fights aren't staged, but the circumstances often favor Jake. They believe he enters the ring with built-in advantages that make his matchups easier. The same may be true this time. Jake is bigger, heavier, and will likely have rules in place that reduce Tank's strengths. Froch and Malignaggi are realistic about the business side of boxing. They understand that promoters want a story. They want a spectacle. That means the setup might be designed to give Jake the best possible chance. Still, both acknowledge that Gervonta Davis has the kind of skill that can disrupt any plan. If the fight turns into a test of pure boxing ability, Tank remains the superior fighter.
They realized, an exhibition, you could stage it and they couldn't take bets on it. So this is an exhibition. There is no betting on it. So that means, I'm not saying people are going crazy with the opinions, who's going to win, who's going to lose. You don't know what size gloves they're going to wear. You don't even know if they're going to stage the whole thing, because this is something that as an exhibition, it's not illegal to stage it. So I think this could be all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff. This is a bit of a circus, in my opinion.
Who would you think should win that fight? Would you think that Davis should be able to get in there, even though the size did 100 pounds? Do you think he should be able to do it?
If they don't stage it and don't kind of set up a sort of a mild sparring session, I'd say Davis has a chance. Depends on the size of the gloves. Because here's the thing, Jake is probably 100 pounds bigger than the guy. That's a lot of weight, Carl. You've been in a boxing ring, that still counts. And if you make the gloves small, Gervonta could technically hurt Jake even if he hits him. But the problem is, if the gloves are small, Jake could also hurt Gervonta, because Gervonta's so small. Gervonta's so much smaller than him. So do you make the gloves big, and then really who's got an advantage? I don't know. Technically Gervonta's a lot better boxer, but he's so much smaller. I've stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy. It's like I said, it's a bit of a circus freak show, and that's why I don't put it out of the question that this exhibition could be a bit staged in the ring.
That's fair enough. That's a fair point, that is. And actually,
people aren't talking about that enough. I feel like people aren't talking about that enough.
Well, he's threatening to sue everybody who talks about it, and anyone who talks about it.
Well, that's because his fights have been sanctioned, and I personally don't think he has set up the other fights. I personally think, like Mike Tyson, he had no legs left. You know what I mean? I to tell you the truth, I thought that was an easy one to bet and call. It was that Jake would beat Mike Tyson, and even some of these other fights, they're smaller. Jake doesn't set up his fights. I think what he does is he stacks the deck against his opponents in those fights. So I wouldn't call them staged, but they're deck stackers. So he has an advantage. In this situation, though,
Shakur Stevenson views the matchup from a purely technical standpoint. He acknowledges that Jake Paul's size advantage is real. He's naturally stronger and heavier, but he also reminds fans that size alone doesn't win fights. Davis brings experience at the highest level, having faced and defeated champions who've trained for boxing their entire lives. Stevenson predicts that Davis won't chase a knockout. Instead, he expects Tank to deliver a calculated, intelligent performance, using speed, distance control, and composure to dominate the rounds. Winning on points, Stevenson says, is the most likely outcome, because Jake isn't easy to drop. Still, he believes Tank's superior boxing skills will ultimately make the difference.
Size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even, and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. He's been boxing since a kid, so I doubt that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. That guy's too big. I don't think that he's just gonna knock that guy out. So I see him outboxing him.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out? Although more likely that it is, like you just said, decision.
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur?
No.
Obviously. No?
Hell no, nah. That ain't really like I said, here's the thing, I got two sides of me when it comes down to, I got a business side, then I got a competitor side. And from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me to.
Weight has become a major talking point among fans and analysts. Some argue that it's unfair to place a smaller boxer like Tank against a much larger opponent such as Jake Paul. They believe the weight gap is too wide and could raise safety concerns. Others, however, insist that elite skill can overcome size. They trust that Davis's speed, precision, and ring intelligence will allow him to handle the difference. Boxing history has shown many times that the smaller fighter can prevail through superior technique and craftsmanship.
Happening, WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight. And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves. And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their...
Robert Garcia speaks from experience as both a trainer and former champion. He says there's nothing wrong with Gervonta Davis accepting this fight. It's his career, and he has every right to make choices that benefit him. Garcia's only concern is timing. He feels Davis is still writing his story. There are championships to win and matchups fans still want to see. Many analysts view this event as a global spectacle. Jake Paul rose to fame through social media and entertainment, building a massive following that extends far beyond boxing. This means the fight will attract viewers who don't normally watch the sport. To some experts, that's a positive. It helps boxing grow. But others believe it weakens the sport because pure competition becomes less important. Jake isn't a traditional boxer, and there are also concerns about the rules. Some analysts suggest that Paul will push for heavier gloves and a higher weight limit to protect himself from Davis's knockout power. They believe those adjustments are the only way Jake can survive more than a few rounds. If that happens, Davis may need to stay patient and strategic.
Or something like that, but I don't know, what's your just take on the whole thing?
I'm not very interested. That doesn't excite me. I know it's going to do really good numbers. I know they're making a lot of money, which is good for them, good for Tank, because in boxing, that's what everybody looks for. I think it's, the good thing is they announced it as an exhibition, which is, I'm okay with it. Everybody does it. Mayweather has done it. Ali did it. The only thing, my personal opinion is Tank, they all did it when they had already accomplished so much. They already did so much. Mayweather did everything in boxing and accomplished everything. Muhammad Ali did the same, and many others that have done it. I think Tank never gave us the fights that we really wanted. Never really gave us those challenges. He never really challenged himself. He didn't give Rhodes that rematch, which he should have. Mayweather did it when he had a hard time with Maidana and Castillo. Right away, he did the rematches to prove everybody wrong, and look at what he did. He beat him clearly. So Tank should have done the same. He didn't. That I could criticize, but then at the end also, if you're making 30 to 50 million, I don't even know what he's making to fight, to have an exhibition against just Jake Paul, I would have asked. I would do the same.
No one would say no to that. Right?
If I had one of my fighters get an offer to fight a big celebrity, a big YouTuber for $20-30 million, I would probably do the same. So I don't blame him. It's boxing. At the end of his career, 20 years from now, nobody's gonna care how many belts.
Bernie Thaw Boxer takes a direct approach. He gets frustrated when people say they're happy for Gervonta Davis simply because he'll make money. Bernie reminds fans that Davis isn't struggling financially. He's already earned plenty through hard work and success. Money, he argues, shouldn't be the main topic in boxing. Fans want great fights, real competition, and champions facing champions. Bernie believes the sport loses its meaning when financial gain becomes the only focus. The matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul represents a clash between the old and new worlds of boxing. On one side stands Davis, a product of the traditional system, trained from childhood, molded through gyms and tournaments, and hardened by years of competition. On the other stands Jake Paul, a fighter who built his fame outside the sport and entered boxing through entertainment.
Tank, and it's I kind of don't really care about the fight no more. It's starting to lose a little steam.
But I'm saying, I mean, if he stops Pitbull Cruz, right? I mean, don't you think that people would want to see, you know, Lamont and Tank more due to the fact that, you know, Tank had a hard time with Pitbull?
No, I think people just want to see Tank versus Lamont because Lamont, he had a hard time with Lamont. It's just like Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. People just like controversy. People just like, you know what I'm saying? So people like to see finished business. You know, they don't want to leave it unfinished, and that's what the intrigue is. They want to people want to see finished business. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the intrigue of the fight. And it doesn't make no sense why they taking so fucking a fight. You know, everybody keeps saying that, Tank getting the money, but is we getting the fucking money? Is we bidding out for the fucking money? Is he gonna give us some of the money? Are we waiting on him to feed us any bit? No. I want what I want. Fuck that. I'm selfish. I'm a fan. I want to see the fucking fight. I don't want to see no fucking circus. You know what I'm saying? So for everybody saying, oh, he back, who gives a fuck? I hope he do get. He already rich as fuck. He already won 30 million in the last fight or something. He got more money than I'm ever gonna have. I don't give a fuck. I want to see the fights. I'm a fucking boxing fan. I want to see a fucking fight. I don't want to see no.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned.